favorite things to do when I was younger was ride around in the tractor or the combine with my dad. Agriculture was a big part of my family. My grandpa didn't have it so easy though. He had to do a lot of planting by horses or mules. My great-grandpa had to do a lot of planting by hand. He also had to have his wife and children help plant. Girls really weren't big in planting, but back then they had to help plant. I was just so lucky that as I got older, agriculture got better. Not only for the farming, but also the crops. The crops improved a lot. With tractors and combines, you were able to plant a lot more and for a shorter amount of time. I would always ride around with my dad, and usually I fell asleep, but when I'd wake up, we were still going around in the combine or the tractor. It was a lot of fun. Farming has changed so much today. Equipment has changed, and also the growth of crops. My dad used to have a combine. Combines were really big, and the heads were kind of small, but as I got older, my dad improved on his equipment and would get bigger heads for the combine. It made it go a lot faster because you could cover a lot more ground. Also, the tractors improved. When my grandpa started out with his tractor, he had an umbrella to cover his head from the sun or when it was sprinkling. Well, as he got older and my dad was a young kid, my grandpa got a tractor. It had a cab. He thought it was the best thing in the world. He always had to open the windows because it wasn't air conditioned yet, but he liked it a lot better than that umbrella. As my dad got older, the tractors changed again. The tractors now had air conditioning in them. They were amazing. He didn't have to open the windows, and it made it a lot cooler out in those hot summers. Whenever I came along, my dad was older, and we got a new tractor that was bigger, and it had a buddy seat for me. I was so excited because I got my own seat, not just the little handbar or sitting on my dad's lap. I had my own seat. I was so excited. Other equipment that have changed over the years is disc and plows. They used to be that kind of little, not cover a lot of ground, but once again, the equipment changed. It got bigger and easier. Another thing that changed was the tractors and combines. People changed because they can run them now by remote controls. You don't have to be in the tractor or the combine to make it run. You have a remote control. It's kind of crazy and not a lot of people have them, but some people do and they're really cool to watch. Farming has changed, some for the good and some for the worse. You make more money for one. It makes it a lot quicker and you don't have to spend as much time in the field, and it saves time. Some of the disadvantages of farming are it makes prices for new equipment a lot higher. I mean, even though it takes less amount of time, the equipment has to be higher because you're only getting better and better. Also, the economy is changing, so it's making prices for parts and everything a lot higher. So, of course, tractors and combines are going to be a lot higher. Another thing is diesel prices. I know every month or every other month, my dad gets the diesel bill. And he just sits there and he complains because we're spending way too much money on diesel. And I look at him and I go, Dad, you're the one that got into farming. And he goes, yeah, and that seems to calm him because he really likes farming. I know that farming will never go back to being from horses or having to go plant by hand. And I know that it has changed for the better. But some days I wonder, if things didn't change, what would we be doing today? Would there be all these kids in school or all these kids looking for jobs? Or would they be on the farm helping their families farm? You never know. I know that helping my dad during the summer is a lot of work and he really appreciates it. And I know that when I'm not there, he kind of wishes that I could help. But with farming, everything is changing. It's a lot more land that there is to farm. There's a lot more money involved, and everything changes and nothing will ever be the same. But sometimes when you change for the better, it makes life better. I know that my father has the same amount of land as when he started, but I also know that when my great-grandpa started farming, that he had a lot less land, and he had to plant by hand or by a horse or mule, and it took forever. I'm just so thankful that farming or agriculture has changed in the way it has. Farming will continue to keep changing as long as people keep coming up with inventions. I hope that as I get older, farming will continue to be a big part of people's life. Thank you.